Hello and welcome to A Cup of Tea with Dr. Zee, where we share everyday stories with you, everyday women. Are you ready to hear heart-to-heart key issues that we all face, no matter where we are in the world? So grab your cup of tea and let's welcome your host, author, international speaker, reinvention strategist, and woman that's full of faith in God and mankind, Dr. Zena Arinzi.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Cup of Tea. A cup of tea, yes, with me, Dr. Z. Happy Friday, everyone. Wherever you are tuning in around the world, you can put it in the chat on whatever platform you're on. If you're watching this live or if you're watching it live from LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram, wherever you are welcome all over the world. I love this show. Like I'm talking to my amazing, special, incredible guest in the green room earlier on today, a few minutes ago. Now, one of the reasons why I do this show is because it's an opportunity to really share not just my heart, but an opportunity to really spotlight amazing, incredible, everyday women around the world doing incredible, extraordinary things. But it's also an opportunity for you to hear those stories and for you to be inspired, impacted, given a kick, given a hug, a cuddle, whatever it is that you need so that you can impact your world. That could be your next door neighbor, it could be your child, it could be your husband, your family, your spouse, your school, whatever neck of the woods that you live in. Because let's face it, life always lives, whether we like it or not. And it's what we do with the life that we've given. And there are lots of people that feel that, you know, Dr. Zena, it's easy for you to say you are amazing. And I know I am amazing, no, but let's keep it humble. Now, what I'm trying to say is that don't be taken aback by what's behind the scene, because we all have our lives. We all have things that we have to deal with, obstacles we have to climb through or climb over. And unfortunately, the so-called world of celebrity, and I'm not a celebrity in any shape or form, but the so-called world of social media, celebrity, it makes it look like everything is so polished and so amazing, and everyone else, so I'm doing something wrong. But that is a lie from the pit of hell. What it is that we all have something to offer. I am enough, you are enough, and your story can be somebody else's glory. Your story can be somebody else's testimony. You may feel that you're hidden and no one knows about you, no one cares about you, but your story can help someone else. It can help the old man that lives next door that no one speaks to. It can help the old lady who's isolated for whatever reason. It can help a young girl, 14 years old, who has no one to talk to. In fact, I was watching something on TikTok the other day, and there was this lovely lady that was sharing about personal hygiene. She was talking about personal hygiene, and she was talking about the fact that when she was, she's probably in her 40s, and Black American, she was talking about the fact that when she was 10, 11, 12, her mom never taught her about personal hygiene because it was things that you never spoke about. So her mother never told her about periods or anything like that. And so she just did the best that she can. She didn't know about shaving or anything. And what she said is after she shared that on TikTok, lots of young girls from all over the world reached out to her to say that, thank you so much for sharing this, and no one has told me this. And so you might think that what's going on in your life is so simple, it's so ordinary, but I'm telling you it's not. It really isn't. So welcome to the show. And I'm going to just quickly tell you about my amazing guest. I'm really looking forward to bringing her on. Today's episode is episode 22. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yay! 22 episodes and going strong. You know, the Bible says never despise the days of small beginnings. It's all about beginning and starting. So we've started. And my next guest, we're talking about sparkling in life on purpose, with purpose. Oh my days, haven't we got a show for you? But let me tell you a little bit about her. Now, before I read her bio, I've known this particular guest for probably gone almost 20 years. And I will talk a little bit about that when she comes on the show. So I don't want to kind of, do any spoilers. But there's a part of her life that she doesn't remember, and there's a part of her life that she does remember. I remember her when we used to go to Toastmasters together years ago, years and years ago. And we were both speakers at Toastmasters, learning the craft of how to speak and stuff like that. And she is an amazing, formidable speaker. But she doesn't remember that part of her life, and you'll understand why. But let me just read a little bit about her. Now, her name is Carole Pyke. Carole Pyke. Now, Carole Pyke, and I've got my glasses on and I can't actually see this. This is really, really funny. This is why I like these kind of shows. Unscripted, not perfected. Just be, you're in my front room with me. So hopefully I can read this. Carole, who is known as the Queen of Sparkle, so you can see this show is really about her life, is a woman who has discovered the extraordinary of her ordinary. I'll read that again. The extra or the extraordinary of her ordinary. She refers to herself as the most sophisticated 5-year-old ever that you'll ever meet. And she describes her journey as a 2-time stroke survivor. And I put that in a copy if you saw the advert earlier on. And if you're on the show, you probably did. She is a 2-time stroke survivor living with retrograde amnesia, hence I refer to a part of her life that she doesn't remember me. And also, she has additional challenges, which include facial blindness and cognitive impairment. But Carole has not only allowed these challenges to define her, but instead she's embraced them. I mean, the last time I was speaking to her 2 weeks ago, she was going to some field somewhere that I'd never ever heard of. And now I want to go there, but that's a different conversation. But I can see her laughing in the green room. And, with over 30 years of marketing expertise, that she blends her fresh and unique perspective on life and business as an idea catalyst for new growth. She's an international speaker. She's also a coach and a personal brand strategist. She really is. Carole's mission is really to make the world a brighter place, to make the world sparkle. And I need to change my lenses and my glasses because I can't see this. But I'm trying my best. I should have put it on my computer. Anyway, so something else I want to tell you about Carole. At the core of her approach, there are 3 powerful concepts: hugs, sparkle, and storytelling. Hugs represents her values and her approach to connecting with others, emphasizing active listening, and she really is an active listener, understanding and giving back value. And through her ability to truly hear and empathize with others, Carole forges meaningful connections and positively impacts their lives. The concept of sparkle captures Carole's vibrant and enthusiastic attitude towards life. She has created the sparkle equation, helping individuals to know who they are, understand the value that they bring, and show up unapologetically, like I am always unapologetic, on purpose, with purpose. And despite her various challenges, she radiates joy, positivity, and energy. What she hasn't added here, which I remember, she's also a TEDx speaker. I remember that. She's a TEDx speaker, and she's got lots of accolades behind her. But more importantly, she's an everyday woman, just like you and I, who is using her journey to impact and sparkle through life. And so, with a drum roll, wherever you are, in your home, in the garden, in the car, you might be on the toilet, wherever you are, just please welcome my amazing, phenomenal, special guest. And I can see stuff in the chat. I'm coming to you right now. My amazing special guest, Carole Pyke. Hello, Carole. Thank you so much for actually gracing this amazing show. You're an amazing woman. And, I can't wait to kind of let you kind of unleash yourself on all our amazing guests. So, Carole, tell me, why are you sparkling?
Because I'm breathing. Quite literally, I'm breathing. If things had been marginally different, the date on my death certificate would have been the 28th of February 2019. It wasn't. And so I believe that the greatest gift that we've all been given is life. And our thank you card has to be what it is that we do with it.
Yes.
And I sparkle because it's not I who lives, it's Christ who lives in me. And it's not I who sparkles, it's Christ who sparkles through me.
That's right. I love it, love it, love it. You know, like I was sharing while you were in the green room, I don't know if you remember this, but probably it was actually 2019 actually, because it was before COVID. I was walking through the park, Greenwich Park, and something, and suddenly we met, and I'm like, Carole, and we jumped on each other. I don't know if you remember. I think that might be one of your earliest memories of this new dispensation of your life. And we jumped on each other. I was actually on my way home. We ended up climbing right at the top of Greenwich Park near the observatory, you might remember. And we were, in fact, they had to turf us out of the park. So it was around this time. So it was summertime, I remember, maybe about September. And we were there until, we were just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And I'm like, do you remember this? And you remember? And I'm like, no, I don't remember this, but I do remember you, and it was, can you remember?
I saw the pictures actually last week. I was looking at the pictures.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
fantastic. And so the reason why I share this is I don't know who you are. You might be listening to this now, or you're listening to this later on. Is amnesia is real. Mm-hmm. Some people have amnesia because of menopause. Some people have amnesia because of, as an after effect or as a direct, impact, and that's the wrong word to use, of being a stroke victim. And I don't like the word victim, but you know what I mean. Yes, I don't like the word victim. Yeah. A stroke Victoria, who's been able to kind of, battle through, or perhaps, you have amnesia or you forget things because that's how you are. But even with those challenges, you can still get through life, and not just get through life, but get through life positively, impactfully, inspirationally, and powerfully. And so with that, I'm going to ask you, with that particular challenge with regards to, having facial blindness, and I'm going to ask you another question on the facial blindness in a minute, facial blindness and amnesia, what kind of ways, tools have you been able to get through that challenge?
Well, in lots of ways, I have no idea. Because in real terms, if you can imagine, like, we all say things like, oh, we forget people's names, or we forget things. I've got retrograde amnesia, significant retrograde amnesia, which actually means 96% of my life I have no idea about. So the fact that I know I was a child because I am an adult, but that is my only connection. My mother died 29 something years ago. I've got no memories of being with her, or even her. I don't know her, although I know things about her. So the level of memory issue is so much more significant than anybody could either understand or was in their frame of reference. And on a daily basis, it isn't necessarily hugely challenging because I don't know any different. So I can't even say, oh, this. At one point, I did say, I'm probably having the worst time of my life. And then I had that whole conversation with myself, like, well, how would you know? Like, how would you know? You've got nothing to compare it to. So, yes, but there are times where it is challenging because I look like I know and I sound like I know, but there are things that I have no idea about. And then the whole facial blindness thing, at the beginning of it, I cried a lot because if you can imagine, there are lots of people that know me and a lot more people than I could even have imagined. And at the beginning, I'd be out and about and people would be so familiar with me, but I have never seen them before in my life. And that felt really disconcerting. And I cried a lot and I felt that I had to explain myself so much more. Whereas now, okay, I don't recognize you. And you will probably never know that. Occasionally I say to people, please remind me how you know me. But a lot of times I don't actually say anything because I think you're not going to understand. It's not going to make any sense. Yeah, I'll just keep that to myself. And I think that what I have discovered is that I have got faith that's so much more than if anybody said to me, all of this would happen and this is how you would show up and and navigate your way through life, I wouldn't have believed them, because this is, huh? So in real terms, it is me and my boys. I just let you know, me and my boys, because I hang out with my besties, and
You're gonna love this, people. You're gonna love this.
My besties are JC, H, and Papa G, and quite literally, I walk and talk with them. They're kind of with me. We're kind of out and about. I see them as, sometimes I actually do see them. And there are times where they really do correct me, slap me, tell me to shut up. But it just means that I am quite literally walking by faith and not by sight. And so much of the Bible has now become alive for me because I don't know any other way. I only know God to be my father. There's a story about that. When I was in hospital, I had this moment where I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, God is real. And then I was confused because I thought, yeah, but how do you know he's real? But I could feel it. Every fiber of my being said, God is real. And then I remembered that the Bible said that you should ask. Now I'm lying in a hospital bed. I've got a bleed on the brain. I have got the worst headache ever. I'm really uncomfortable. I can't find ways to position myself to sleep because I've got left side weakness. So I thought I can ask. So what Carole did was I asked Jesus for a hug. You just think, hold on a minute, you didn't ask for the pain to stop, for the bleed to stop, to get out of hospital. You just asked for a hug. And then when I turned to my right, there was a man in my bed. And I looked and I thought, oh, look, Jesus is here. And there were days where I'd wake up and the same face would be looking down at me. And then there was a day where he said to me that you are at peace and I am with you. And the only time I realized that this wasn't normal was when I had told a nurse all of this, and they were doing handover at the bottom of my bed. And the day nurse said to the night staff, oh yes, and the lady in bed 15, she sees Jesus. So I started to laugh because I thought, oh, so not everybody sees Jesus then.
What I love, I mean, you've told me this story before, and every time I hear it, it encourages me, it empowers me, it inspires me, it motivates me, but it also reminds me of that scripture. And although this isn't a Christian show, there always will be Christian undertones because that's my faith, and some of my guests are Christian. So in today's show, one of the things that reminds me of, there's a scripture that says he will neither leave you or forsake you. Now that is a promise. That is a promise. It's a promise. And sometimes for those of us that are women of faith or men of faith, or have some sort of faith with Christianity, you forget that that is actually a promise. It's not like you and me. I might say, Carole, I'll call you later, and I forget, life gets in the way or whatever, and you don't call later, but God isn't like that. When he says he's going to do something, he does exactly what he says he's going to do. He does exactly what's on the tin. It may not represent itself in the way that you want it to, but it will always be the way that he wants to answer you. And so when you say, this is a practical example, because sometimes, you see, and all that. But, this is, when you make your walk with God a living reality, step by step, moment by moment, and when you don't have any other choice, especially. And sometimes we need to get to the end of ourselves, and that, for me it's God, it's Jesus, but for you somewhere it might be something else. But you need to get to the end of yourself to be able to let God come in and really you be on that boat, and he's on it, and with you, taking you through that storm of what we call life. I like the fact that, and you won't remember this, Carole, but I remember, I don't know why I'm remembering this now. I remember you used to have this hat, this black hat, you know, you were really into black. Now you're into red, and that's not. But you were really into black. She was really into black. She used to have this black leather hat. She used to just perch on the side of her head. She hadn't had, you know, I think she had lupus. Yeah. And so you used to use a stick sometimes you wouldn't. I remember that. And you had this lovely black leather hat, and you just come in like this, and the whole place would just be on fire. You know, and she was so snazzy. And when I say she was, I mean the old her. So you know how you have before Christ and after Christ. You know, this is literally, and I don't know why I've never thought about,
Yeah.
So you've got before Carole, the old Carole, and after Carole, and they're both amazing, but this one is even more incredible. It really is. And I want to ask you something about facial blindness, because I know you've talked about that a little bit more, but I just want to, get, because we remember you.
Yeah.
We remember you, and I don't think you even remember that black hat. I need to look for a picture. But anyway, tell us a bit more about that facial blindness and how it presents. So you've talked about, not needing to explain anymore. But have you ever got in a situation where people have come, "Hi, Carole," and you haven't responded in the way they expect, and they kind of take offense or anything like that?
Actually, yes. Facial blindness is actually called prosopagnosia. And it's not just faces, because it relates to spaces, to just kind of stuff that isn't familiar to me. I did have a moment where I was at an event, and this guy said hello to me, and I said to him, "Can you help a girl out? Tell me your name and how you know me."
Mm-hmm.
And he was actually offended by that. And he walked away, so he didn't kind of say anything. And a little while later, I'd come home, and I was on Facebook, and he'd sent me a message, and he was basically saying that he thought that we were friends, and he just wasn't, by it all. And so I've discovered I had his phone number in my phone. And so I called him to say to him, this is what's been going on. And what was interesting is because he'd been reading my posts, but he didn't know the story behind it. And then I thought, oh my gosh, how many other people have I kind of offended? Actually, there's a real classic one. And there's a woman who isn't speaking to me. And we'd kind of gone to an event, and she was there, and I said hello, and she kind of begrudgingly kind of like said hello. And I thought that was a bit strange. So I said to her, "Oh, have I offended you in some way? If I've offended you, I'm actually really sorry." And so she said, "Yes, you have." And I said, "Okay, could you tell me what I've done?" And so she said, "You know what you've done." So in that moment, I thought, I didn't sleep with her husband, and I don't know what it means. I have no idea what it is I've done, but whatever it was that it is that I have done, or she believes that I have done, is so live for her that she is carrying it. And what's quite hilarious about it is she's the only one carrying it, because I have no idea. And I think that's a really kind of great message to everybody that's listening as well, is that nobody, if you think about how we talk about offense, we talk about you take offense, you get offended. So actually, hold on a minute. You are taking it, you are getting it. Let it go. Because people will do things that you don't like or you feel uncomfortable about. But unless they physically do something to you, they have never done anything to you. They've done something and you have chosen your response. And if you can think about every response that we have, we choose it.
Yes.
Even if we feel that we have no other choice, as long as we recognize that it is a choice, that then means that you don't give your power over to somebody else. And that means that, okay, I'm not able to choose a different response now, but if I know that I can later on when I'm stronger or whatever it is, I can choose a different response.
Yes.
And I don't think that we talk enough about the power of choice.
Yes.
Because every single situation, and I'm saying this, whatever your situation or circumstance, I don't know, But I'm saying in every single situation, you get to choose your response.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. Sorry to interrupt you. It's just amazing. Just on my studio, I've got this book. I've had this book for years. I've got John Bevere. This was I don't know. I got this years ago, so I might have got this from CLC, and I've got this was actually dated. This was a 2004 edition, and I was reading it because of something that my two daughters are going through. They're not talking to each other. So you're, as a parent, you're thinking about what kind of, Lord help me here. What do I do? Do I bang them over the head? I've prayed. What do I do? So I'm reading, and this is one of my favorite books I've had for years, and it's called The Bait of Satan: Living Free from the Deadly Trap of Offense.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. And there's another book by him called, and I actually got these books probably when I was still married and I was trying to get through, going through the divorce and trying to figure out, okay, I'm not someone that carries grudges as a person. I just don't.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that I was doing it right and I wasn't in resentment and stuff. So there's another book called How to React or something, or How to React When You Feel Mistreated by the same man, And so when you're talking about that, it's really important to sort of share that. And this has nothing to do with faith, because people might think, they're talking about Jesus. No, it has nothing to do with it. This is about you. If you choose to follow, that's great. But if you don't, and you have something else that you believe in, it's really important not to hold on, not to take offense. Because there's a saying, and I don't know if it's a Nigerian saying or if it's something we say in Pidgin or say in Patois, but there's something that, when you say that offense is like taking Panadol for someone else's headache. So we say in Pidgin English, you take Panadol for person headache, for those that understand, I don't know, so you're taking someone else, you're taking something for something that, no, they don't even care. They've moved on.
That's it. There's another one that says it's like you drinking the poison and expecting somebody else to die.
Absolutely. So you're like, and it's like young people, and maybe not, let's not say young people. Some people in relationships, they break up, they go to parties, they go clubbing, and they're on the rebound, and they start, going into relationships they have no business going into. Like, I want to show him or show her, make him, and they've moved on. And you're, you have a girlfriend, in a relation, in a girlfriend's group, you're all friends and stuff, and someone, you're going, I'm going to show her. You're busy taking offense. They've moved on.
It's a waste of energy. I'm just remembering, I had a friend who died of breast cancer, and she, before she was dying, actually said that she believed that the cancer was caused by her hatred that she watered every day of her child's father. That every day she hated him. And this is like for 30 odd years.
I don't know why, and I don't know why we're going down this route, but I believe that someone needs to hear this, and I don't know who it is. I don't know you, some of you that might be listening to the show or watching it later on, and I might know you, but many of you, I might not know you. And I just want you to know that offense, whatever it is, whether it's a childhood person, someone you were playing in school with, or someone bullied you, maybe it's a race issue, maybe, you've had, you're horribly raped or whatever it is. So, no matter how bad, and you can say, Zena, you don't know what, no matter how bad it is, and I'm going to burst into tears. I don't know why, who I'm crying for, but no matter how bad it is or it's been, please, please, please drop that offense. Drop, unforgiveness, bitterness does you no good. And you're absolutely correct, Carole. Statistics even prove this, that sometimes we get things like cancer, or it stays longer, or we're not in remission, or other diseases because of unforgiveness. Unforgiveness in your heart, and you're thinking, I'm never going to forgive. I can never.
Yeah. Why not? And it's crazy, because the other thing that kind of brings to my thinking is that there is a difference between the event and your emotions about the event. They do not come hand in hand. Something happened, and then this was your response. So they are separate. And so years later, you cannot possibly be reliving the thing, because it's not happening now.
Yeah.
And one was the interesting thing was that last year I was set up for my car to be stolen.
Yes. Yes.
And my car was stolen, and I had all of these people that were praying for the car to be returned. They were praying, they did whatever, and I had to say to them, "Stop praying for the car to be returned, because that's not useful for me." But also, nobody was thinking about the impact of the car being stolen. They were thinking about the car being stolen, and everything was focused on the car being stolen. For me, that was horrendous. I had PTSD, so it was a horrendous time. But once the car had gone, my issue wasn't the fact that the car had gone, was the impact that I was now living as a result of it. And so whatever traumatic or stuff that happened to you, I'm not being cold when I say this. It has happened. Right. It's happened. It is actually in the past. Your issue now isn't the thing. It's how it is that it's impacted your identity, your self-esteem, your self-worth. Sorry.
I didn't offer you. Do you want a cup of tea?
Oh, yes, please.
I did Earl Grey. I should have asked you. Do you like Earl Grey?
Yeah. I've never had Earl Grey, so it'll be a new one.
All right. Okay. Let me give you move your cup just to the side here. Excellent. Yeah. Yay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me have a...
Hope it's not too hot. I'll put some lemon in it.
Actually, hold on.
She loves it. You know, and just as you were saying that, you know, something that's come to mind again is the concept of revenge. You know, people are always thinking, I'm going to revenge, I'm going to revenge. You know, you don't need to revenge, because the energy that you're using to revenge, you could use that to do something much more positive, and just with that example you were giving, Carole, in terms of the event has happened, so why are you living in the past? You're living in the past, and this is not to be facetious. You're living in the past because you have the ability to live in the past. There are many people like my guest here who can't live in the past, even if she wanted to. I'm sharing things, the black hat and how amazing she was and how she would come out and, and all that. And she can't do that. Now, so just for a second, humor me a little, for those of you listening or those that will listen on the replay, on when it gets uploaded onto Spotify and everywhere. Try and imagine a life where you don't have that past. So you're not dead.
Yeah.
You're living your life to the fullest, but you don't have a reference point. For those of you that joined late, Carole is welcome to the show again. Carole is a 2-time stroke survivor. She has, I can't pronounce it. She'll help me. She has retrograde amnesia. Yay, Dr. Zee, she has facial blindness, and she has loads of challenges. I happened to see her during lockdown, went to go, drive down. I couldn't see her because obviously she needed to be in the vulnerable group. I couldn't see her, but I remember driving down and taking food around, and just seeing and speaking to her. She has a lot of challenges, but she has no reference point. So just imagine that you have no reference points. You don't have a past. You just have a now. She's 5 years old, literally 5 years old. So why would you, if you had that, why would you spend so much of your past trying to get one up on someone that's done something horrible to you? Why would and tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us. You could have all the money in the world. You could be so successful. Steve Jobs, with all the money, he couldn't. Michael Jackson, he couldn't. Nelson Mandela, that we all love, he couldn't. I mean, he lived his life, but you can't use money. There's nothing you can do. I mean, when we're talking about forgiveness, Nelson Mandela is actually one of the, the biggest examples, apart from Jesus, is Nelson Mandela. So I just want to encourage you, whoever you are, and don't tell me, Zena, you have no idea what I've gone through. I don't have any idea what you've gone through. I really don't. And I do empathize. I don't understand. I don't know your story, but I do know that your story is someone else's glory. And like I always say, I could be coming to a place next to you. You might be my next guest. So you never know. Now back to you, Carole. Back to you, because I can talk forever. Back to you. So another question I want to ask you is that tell me, why do you like speaking? Because you are such an amazing, impactful speaker. I've always loved hearing you. You're a different speaker now, but you're still impactful. And I love, your choice of words, the rhyme, the way do you remember? You might not remember. Do you remember that you were good at spoken word as well? Is that still part of you? No, I just remember that. I don't know why. It's just coming all of a sudden. Anyway, over to you.
I think it's because actually, I'm not sure. What's kind of really interesting is that oftentimes when people have a stroke, one of the things that is impacted, whether it be for short term or long term, is their speech and their ability to communicate. Yeah, except Carole. It's kind of really interesting because I've actually got executive functioning impairment. And one of the elements of executive functioning is communication and articulation. I didn't tell you that, you would have no idea. I don't actually know. I think that apart from the fact that I can say that God's got a plan and I'm in it, and part of it is about communication, and I think differently. And a great example of my thinking differently is when I was in hospital, I was in one hospital and I was in one hospital for 12 hours, and then they blue lighted me to another hospital. And then whilst I was there, I was seeing stroke doctors and I was on a stroke. They admitted me to a stroke ward. So I asked the doctor, why am I on a stroke ward? Okay, clearly you're going to say, but that was obvious. Well, not to me, it wasn't. And then he said, Carole, the bleed on the brain is a stroke. And I thought, oh, I know something about that. And I thought, I didn't know what it was I knew. And I remembered Google. Strangely, out of all of the things I remembered Google. So I asked Google. And so when he came back, I said to him, oh my gosh, I'm in the top set. I'm in the top percentile, because only 12% or 13% of all strokes are bleeds. Oh my gosh. And he actually just looked at me and said, Carole, nobody thinks like that. And I now, looking back, realize that, yep, that sums it up. Nobody thinks like that, except Carole.
And that shows the uniqueness, so even in these kind of things, being unique, and understanding that our experiences are for us to be unique. I love that. No one thinks like you, Carole. That is absolutely true. I don't, just for those of you that don't know, for those of you who are new on the show, and I just want to let me do a quick shout out to hi Inka, thank you for watching. Thank you, Althea. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you, Annie, for your lovely comments. Who else did I see? Let me just, because it's always nice for people that you've taken out the time. Althea, Annie, Roberta. If I haven't called your name, please forgive me. Let's talk about forgiveness now. Please forgive me. But for all of you that are watching now, or you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for your lovely comments. Thank you for playing hard with us. Bring your questions. If you've got any questions, you've got any comments, do put them in. We will talk about them. We will bring them up here. But just coming back to what I was going to say is, it's about us using our experiences to be unique. For us understanding that our experiences, good and not so good, because I don't like the word bad, good and not so good, is still for a reason. It's still for a reason. As long as you've got breath, and that song, as long as I am, Phil Thompson, I don't know, I'm remembering that, as long as I've still got breath, as long as I am breathing, I will always worship you. As long as you've got breath, you need to use your life to impact somebody else. And you might be thinking, Zena, I don't want to impact anybody else's life. Okay, don't impact, but at least impact your own life. Be accountable to you. And Carole, let you jump in there.
Well, it's kind of two things. And one, back to that whole, why is it that I speak? I love story. I think in story. Like my whole kind of framing of everything is based in a story. And I want to share because if my experience can help you to live a more fulfilling and rewarding life and have a greater impact in the world, then actually all of this is worthwhile. And so for me, it is, I have to speak about it, because otherwise you are never going to know. And I think that whole element of kind of uniqueness, that we're not realizing that there is only one you in this entire universe, and only you've got the combination of experience, expertise, failures, mistakes, successes, and triumphs. There is nobody else ever that's got that. So you are already amazing as you are.
Yeah.
When you walk into any room, it's my challenge to you. You walk into any room as a value add, or any conversation as a value add, because your perspective did not exist until you showed up.
That's right.
So if you don't show up, they don't get the richness or the value of that. They may not agree with you, but that doesn't take away the value. It's a bit like if I had a £50 note now and I said to you, how much is this worth? You'd say £50. If I crunched it up in my hand and asked you how much it was worth, you would say £50. If I then put it on the floor and stamped on it and asked you how much it's worth, you'd say £50. So why do we think that when things happen to us, it devalues us? Because nobody else can devalue you without your consent.
That's true.
They can think and talk about you in whatever ways it is that they want to, but until you embrace that and embody it, what difference does it make? In fact, there's a saying, I think it's Eleanor Roosevelt, that said, what other people think of me is none of my business. And I want to say to you, get out of people's business.
That's right. That is, I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. We spend a lot of our lives thinking about what other people think. I'm not going to do, and so it kind of precludes you from being you. Be you and let everybody else, be whoever they are. Be you, be accountable to you, be responsible for you, make choices that honor you. When we talk about boundaries, we talk about boundaries all the time, and this is what we're going to talk about today. But what about the boundaries you have for yourselves? So rather than it's wonderful to honor other people. I'm really into honoring and serving people. That is amazing. But start with you. When you go on a plane, it always tells you, the air hostess will say, when a mask comes down from the air. I never listened to this, so I never know, when I should, sorry, BA, Virgin, I'm in business class, sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes I'm in coach class, but whatever, But, you know the drift. It comes down and they say, put it on yourself first. Put the mask on yourself first. Not on your child, not on your husband, your sister, your next door, whoever it is, but on yourself first. And it's really true. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And the way that you treat yourself is how other people will treat you. So if you treat yourself like the example that Carole just gave with the crumpled £50 note, you treat yourself as being crumpled, as if you have no value, as if you've lost your value for whatever, because of whatever someone has said to you or done to you or said about you that you don't even know about, or what you perceive that people are thinking about you. So you feel you have no value. That is how people will approach you. So I remembered, I've got a very good friend of mine, and I sleep quite late. I do lots and lots of things because I'm kind of on, different time zones, talking to people in other time zones. So that, impacts my sleep patterns. But I remember a very, 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 very good friend of mine. I've known her for years. If you call her at 5 minutes past 8, she's not picking that phone. So I said, no, what's up? I said, you're a chicken. I'm calling you. She won't pick that phone because she's got her boundaries. At 8 o'clock. So now I know I don't call her. So sometimes she will send me a message, I've got something to say to you. And I'm looking at the time, so it's 9:30. Why are you calling me? I thought and she'll stop being silly, Zena, But what am I saying? Whatever boundaries you have for yourself, people will honor that. It's the same in relationships. If you treat yourself well, people will now know that's how they need to treat you. So why don't you don't allow the things of life that are external to you to make you show up as a person that you are not? Why don't you, and I'm talking to myself as well, I'm talking to Carole, why don't we use our experiences to be the best version of ourselves possible. It's not easy. Sometimes you need support. Carole's a coach. I'm a coach. You can reach out to her. You know, she can help you, you know, to live that life. You can reach out to me, or you can just listen to the show or go on YouTube, whatever it is. But what can help you become better, representing your best self, so that other people will see your best self and you'll be able to sparkle in their life. And I want you to talk a bit about sparkle.
Yeah. Right. Before I talk about sparkle, I just want to say, do you know that being yourself is the easiest gig in the world? It literally is. It doesn't require you to remember anything. Remember, I'm the queen that doesn't have memory. It doesn't actually require you to remember anything, being you. But we have made this real kind of complicated thing. I want to issue your listeners a challenge. I want to, like we have this whole thing that you need to learn to say no. You need to learn to say no. I'm going to turn that on its head and say, forget that. Learn to say yes. Learn to say yes to your values. Learn to say yes to your vision, to your dreams. Learn to say yes to you. Because if you learn to say yes to those things, when stuff comes up, it's not that you're saying no to it. You're actually saying this doesn't work for me because it's not in alignment with my values, with the vision where it is that I'm going. Learn to say yes, because that will be the game changer for you, because you're now valuing yourself in a different way. And it's not about being selfish. It's about being self-full. So like Zena said, that you give from your overflow.
That's right.
Let's stop giving from empty. In fact, I did remember, because one of the things that happens for me is that if I say I remember, I don't remember in the way that you think of memory. I now have some information from the past that I didn't have. So one of the things that that's just come to me that I didn't have was that my mother said to me, and I don't know why, an empty bag can't stand up.
She's Guyanese, people.
Oh yes, empty bag can't stand up. And then the next thing that she said, you can give away your butty and shit through your ribs.
I like that one.
I have no idea what that was about, but essentially you get the gist that if you aren't full, that you can't stand up. So fill up so that you can. And we have got, and particularly if you are of a Christian kind of persuasion that goes to church, and we are told so much about serving others. There's a scripture in the Bible that I believe that people seem to have scribbled out, and it says, love your neighbor as yourself. So my understanding of that is you got to love yourself in order to be able to love others.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. So, sparkle. What's really interesting is that sparkle, like we think about the kind of shiny things, it's so much more than that. But it started its life in the fact that in 1980 something or 90, I don't even know what it was, I met Nelson Mandela. And there was just something about him that was different. He walked into a room and you felt his presence. It wasn't what he said. It wasn't what he did. It wasn't even your knowledge of his history, but it was just him. He carried something. And so it started. Oh, I hugged him, by the way. I hugged Nelson Mandela. But anyway.
Why wouldn't you?
It started from there. And I've always loved this scripture, Matthew 5:16, let your light so shine that man may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And I'm realizing that that's the root of the whole sparkle concept. Now, sparkle is a philosophy, but it's also an equation. And there are 3 elements, and it's know who you are, understand the value you bring to the table, and show up unapologetically on purpose. And quite literally, when those are in alignment, magic happens. Doors are opened. You walk into rooms and people notice you. You don't have to say anything. It becomes your voice. It is the language that you speak. It connects you with people in a deeper way. It moves things out of the way for you. So my whole thing is that sparkle, and watch what happens, because you are saying, I know who I am and I'm good with that.
Yes.
I will say to you, I've got significant disabilities and I am neurodivergent. Now, that doesn't define me. but that's information about me.
Yes. Yes.
And I am good with that. I will stand in the middle of the street and tell anybody. I am a born again, bona fide child of God. I'm a divine original, handcrafted by God. And I will stand in the street and tell people that. I'm not trying to persuade you. I don't care whether you believe or not. I don't care whether you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, or whatever. That is who I am. And I'm sharing me with you. And what I'm encouraging everybody to be is to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because the core of who you are, because you're going to say that there are good people and there are bad people. Yeah. No, there are people that do good things and bad things. Yeah. The core of who you are, that whole essence, I don't believe changes. And I'll say this because in 2019, I was in a wheelchair, in pajamas, on a stroke ward. And a couple of external people came in to do a reading group with stroke survivors. We did a round table read and then a free-flowing conversation. Right. And then the nurse and the two external people looked at me and said, you need to be a motivational speaker. I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay. And then one of the women said, when you come out of hospital, I want you to come and speak to my group. Okay. At that point, she'd never met me before. She knew nothing about me. So she didn't know whether I could speak to an audience, and neither did I. But there was something in that space that connected with her, that she said, no, we got to have this woman. And then if I said to you that her audience were white middle-class men, there was nothing in that scenario, pajamas, wheelchairs, stroke survivor, that said I would be a perfect fit. But she connected to me, the core of me, the me that even I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm saying, oh my gosh, that core essence that makes you uniquely you is there. It's that diamond on the inside. And that, like a diamond in coal, you've got layers of life, of mistakes, of failure, of offense, of all of those things. And you don't believe then that the diamond exists. I'm telling you that yes, it does. Because whilst it is, I don't know you, I don't know your situation or your circumstance, what it is that you've been through, I can tell you that there are three things I do know about you. One is that you are determined. And if you're saying, well, no, not really sure. Okay. You started life as a baby. As a baby, you were crawling, you couldn't walk. You decided that you wanted to walk. You got up, you fell down. You hit your head, you hurt yourself, you cried, whatever. I'm going to go on the premise that you're not still crawling. And if you're not still crawling, that means that there was determination that you pushed through in order to do that. And I'm sure that there are so many other things in your life that you didn't think you could, but you have pushed through, and yes, you are. So I'm saying to you that you are determined. You are resilient because you have been knocked back, knocked down, and you've gotten up. And so you're determined and you are resilient. And you're an overcomer because there have been things that looked like you couldn't, but you're still breathing here today. Oh, if you can't think of anything, 2020 was a year and you're still here.
Absolutely. So
to own the fact that you are determined, resilient, and an overcomer, that would change how you see yourself when you look in the mirror.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that, I've seen an amazing lady. I mean, all of you are amazing. So Alero, that's Anne, lovely to see you on the show. Althea, thank you for your comments. Roberta, thank you. And Mrs. Larty, lovely to see you. Wow. Thank you for your lovely comments. There, people are saying you are exceptional, you are amazing, you are phenomenal, you're inspirational. I'm just telling you so that and this is you can remember this, you can remember this. So, but just coming back to that example you gave, like you rightly said, you didn't know that, and just so that, because people might not know this, in Carole's life, before 2019, so before 2009, before the stroke, she was actually a motivational speaker. She never knew that. Like I told you, for those of you that are just joining the show, we used to go to the same Toastmasters in Greenwich. If you're from my neck of the woods, Kent or Southeast London, you would know that Meridian Speakers, with this years and years and years and years and years ago. And Carole would not come on time, but when she would come, I remember this really well. I mean, I don't go on time, so it's not like I'm not no shade on her. She's actually better than me now, yeah. But when she would come at a particular time, and she'd have her hat on, and she would speak, and she would bring the house down. She would bring the house down, And so you're absolutely correct. Whatever is in you, whether you know it or not. So you may not. You might say, "Oh, Zena, Carole, I don't know what's in me," but wherever, just be. Like Michelle Obama says, become, be who you are, and people will be able to identify that jewel, that diamond, that rough diamond in you. And you never know where it will lead you to. Not everyone's going to be a speaker, so that's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, you might be, a painter, a creative in some way. You might be someone in hospitality. You might be a writer. I don't know what your talent is, but what I am saying is, don't allow, and Carole even says it even better than I can, don't allow whatever has gone on in the past, or what is even going on right now, even as we speak, because we have to be cognizant of the fact that you might be listening right now and you're going through something that you feel is really unspeakable, something that you think has really knocked you for six and knocked you off by your kneecaps, and you can't move forward. But even with that, you have a sparkle, you have a gem. There's a scripture that says that you are, you are a treasure in an earthen vessel. So I'm pointing to you. You are a treasure. Don't let anyone tell you differently. Don't think that Dr. Zena is so amazing. She can speak for England. Carole's amazing. We are all amazing. We are all incredible in our own worlds, in our own way. And you just need to see yourself. Don't think that, I'm unworthy of my space. Carole has said it. If you are listening to this right now, or if you are listening to this during the replay, you've gotten through 2020. You've gotten through 2020. So you're here for a reason. You're here for a reason and for a season. And the season part is a bit scary because we've only got a definitive length of time. We need to make it our best shot. Someone says that the best place where you see the best potential is actually in the graveyard. Don't let your potential be in that graveyard. Don't be part of that statistics. Let your potential, let your beauty, let your sparkle, your value, your resilience, your determination, your being, and all the amazing things that Carole said. I'm going to ask her to repeat it because obviously it's not me. I've forgotten it already. But your resilience, your sparkle, your value, and your being, let it all come out, so that you too can impact your world, wherever that might be. And Carole, I'm going to let you say, listen, let me just check if there are any questions and answers. And I'm just going to let you, I don't want this show to stop. I'm having such a great time. When I first started this, on the 8th of December, it was half an hour. And I'm thinking, no. So anyway, we're going to stop in a minute, but I'm going to ask you, Carole, to share your last few words of wisdom that you think that will really help people to set themselves up for greatness that they are, as Les Brown likes to say.
All right. I just want to also say about me that every single day of my life, I'm fighting for my life. So don't think that I'm talking like this and so therefore I've come through it all and it's kind of all over. No, every single day of my life, I'm fighting for my life. But I'm choosing how it is that I show up. And I want to remind you that you have the power of choice. And I think it was Henry Ford. No, actually, I'm not sure who said it. But that whole thing that whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right.
You're right, yes.
And so I want to say to you.
Henry Ford.
It was Henry Ford. I want to say to you, change your thinking. And when I say change your thinking, because we talk about mindset shifts, the Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I want to say to you that the mindset is the fruit. It isn't the thing. It's your belief system that is at the root. So what is it that you are actually believing about yourself? Because that is what's determining how it is that you think. And then you are moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts. And I want to say to you that belief is the DJ that gets the party started. What kind of party do you want? Ask yourself the question, and where do you need to make,
negativity or party of positivity? Sorry.
you decide what it is that you want and know that you've got the power.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't feel like that, you've got the power. Feelings are a wonderful barometer, but never use them as a compass.
Yeah.
And then my last thing that I want to say is I've got a word, and the word is flawsome.
Awesome.
So essentially, flawsome is awesome with flaws. But my definition of it is awesome with flavor.
Awesome. Awesome with flavor.
Yes.
Awesome with flaws. Awesome with flavor. I like that. You are awesome with flavor.
Right. So you're flawsome. So the next time you think of something that is that whole negative or it's not good enough, I want to ask you, what's the other side? What's the upside? What's the gift that gives you? Because there is no one-sided coin. So I have got 96% of memory loss, which is devastating and it's challenging and it's all of those things. But the other side of the coin is I've got a fresh perspective on absolutely everything. I see the world through fresh eyes. I see beauty everywhere. In the midst of chaos, I can see the light. And so I'm saying to you, here's another exercise for you. Yeah. Get a piece of paper and create 3 columns. In the first column, write down all of the things that are wrong with you, with your life. Write down all of those things. That's what it is, because that's factually correct. In the next column, I want you to write, if we brought a light, we shone a light. For those that are Christians, if we brought the Holy Spirit to it, what's the other side? For those of you that aren't, if we shone a light in it, what is the upside of that? Like I said to you, I've got significant memory loss. But it also means then, and it's getting darker now, it also means that I've got a fresh perspective. So I can choose to focus on the fact that I don't have, or relish in the fresh perspective. So you choose, because again, it's your choice.
Thank you so much, Carole. Like she said, it really is your choice. It is your choice. You can choose to relish in what you have or relish in what you don't have. Carole, you've been an absolute gem. I could do this forever, but good things have to come to an end. But I am going to bring you back. I say this to almost all my guests. So I will bring you back. But I just want to say thank you so much. The chat has been on fire. People are watching from LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube, and thank you for being you. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your sparkle, a little bit of your life. 96% memory loss. And even with that, she's moving forward. She impacts my life. When I speak to her, and this is another show, so I'll leave that here because I can actually see it already going into another show. But I just want to say thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for spending your time with us. UK time on the Friday evening. If you're in the US Eastern time, it's probably about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, wherever you are around the world. Australia, Nigeria, Ghana. Thank you so much. Until next time, we will see you again next week for another episode 23 of A Cup of Tea with Dr. Zee. Today we've had the most incredible guest, Carole Pyke, and she has spoken about sparkle in life on purpose with purpose. Thank you so much, Carole, for being with us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to A Cup of Tea with Dr. Zee, your reinvention queen. We hope you've been motivated and inspired to go out there and conquer any obstacles and issues you may face. You can find Dr. Zena on all social platforms. Until next time, remember, you're not alone.